Hello, good morning, everyone. Ayun. And now we are live. So hello to our viewers for this morning. Welcome to our Code Your Future with Stacktrek 40 minutes coding workshop for non-coders. I am Isai and I will be your host for this morning's workshop. So ayun, I can see people checking in already. We have from Cebu, Iligan, Metro Manila. Oh, we have from Singapore, Pampanga, Bataan, Mandaluyong. Cool. We have people from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and outside the Philippines. Ayun. So for those who just joined us in our workshop this morning, kindly type in your attendance in the comment section by typing your name and the place that you are watching from. So yun, your name and the place that you are watching from. All right. So let us start. But before we proceed to our workshop, I know your hands are all ready to do the coding. But before that, we would just like to give you some reminders for our pre-session assignment. Actually, if you have registered via our registration link, you have received already the assignment. So make sure that you have created an account at Stacktrek and that you have successfully enrolled in the course that we will be using for this morning. So yun, to also help us identify if you have already successfully enrolled in the course, kindly type in enrolled. Yun. So just to know who amongst our viewers right now are already enrolled in our course. So if you have successfully enrolled, kindly type in enrolled. And if you are encountering any problems while enrolling, feel free to type them in the comment section as our product team is on standby on all platforms to assist us with all issues or problems. Ayun, so there are a lot. Good. Okay. So can I also know who among our viewers right now are first-time participants of our coding workshop? So, pag first time, type nyo first. Pag second time nyo na, because this is not our first time doing the workshop. So, yung mga first time, type nyo first. Pag second time nyo na, type nyo second. Pag third, yun. Okay, so we have first-timers here. So, I know you're all excited. So, there. And during our workshop later, if you have any concerns, again, just type them in the comment section because our product team will be assisting you guys later. And also, please do not leave yet after our workshop, as we will be having our info session. So since you joined na this workshop, that means somehow you have an interest in pursuing a career in tech. So our full stack bootcamp might be something for you. So we'll be having our info session later. All right. So just to give you a quick overview, Code Your Future is an initiative that aims to elevate more Filipinos to become tech professionals through programming education. So from zero experience up until being a successful tech professional. So we will be with you in that journey. All right. So let us not delay any further. We would like to welcome the Director 4 of ICT Industry Development Bureau, Director Emilu V. Delfin, to give us the opening message.
Good morning, everyone. Before we begin, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our generous innovation partner sharing their knowledge through this workshop, Stacktrek, to our hardworking team in the ICT Industry Development Bureau, and of course to all of you, our valued participants, for your participation in Code Your Future with Stacktrek, a 40-minute coding workshop. Learning a new skill is a fulfilling experience. Learning a valuable skill such as computer programming in this technology-driven age can make a difference for individuals aiming to take advantage of the growing IT and software development industry. This valuable workshop will be conducted for free by our friends from the Stacktrek. Code Your Future can be the gateway for our participants to a new career as a programmer, or it can be the avenue for something as simple as learning a new digital skill. Jobstreet.com's top 10 highest paying jobs list, released in May this year, is dominated by jobs from the IT and software development industry. The average monthly salary for IT professionals can go above 54,000 pesos. And as companies transition to digital-based platforms for work, there will always be an increasing demand for programmers in the foreseeable future. This workshop is the perfect opportunity to start investing in learning a valuable digital skill that we can all utilize as our country continues its digital transformation. The Philippine IT BPM industry employed 1.44 million Filipinos in 2021. Around 210,000 of this employment were from that software industry, according to the Philippine Software Industry Association. Latest data from JobStreet Philippines, however, revealed that there are still 200,000 vacancies for IT, including software, hardware, and programmers. These statistics show that the IT and software industry continues to grow and needs a continuous supply of high-skilled individuals with strong digital skills. Code Your Future is in line with the national government's thrust to enhance the digital skills of the Filipino workers as we continue to boost the growth of the IT BPM industry. Activities like this give the opportunity for the private sector and government to work together in helping the Filipino workforce transform into a highly competent and globally competitive digital workforce. A welcome development for all of us is that last July 30, 2022, Republic Act number 11927, or an act to enhance the digital workforce competitiveness, lapsed into law. This law will not only focus on the development of the digital workforce in the country through training initiatives and job opportunities in digital technology, but it will also urge various sectors such as the government, private institutions, schools, and alike to recognize digital skills as a foundational set of skills that all citizens must have. One of the main crafters of this law is our newly appointed DICT Undersecretary for ICT Industry Development, USEC Giselle Batapasige. With USEC Giselle's guidance, the ICT Industry Development Bureau will develop and implement programs that aim to create more jobs by supporting the ICT-enabled industries. Some of our projects will be discussed later in the workshop. Code Your Future aims to elevate more people to become tech professionals through programming educations. This free session is a sneak peek to our partner Stacktrek's Coding Bootcamp. It is a study first, be later program that aims to train aspiring programmers and help them secure a job in the IT industry. Initiatives like this show how collaboration between the government and the private sector can equip the Filipino workforce with digital skills that meet the requirements of the ICT-enabled industries. The demand for digitally skilled workers will only increase as the high-quality jobs offered by the IT BPM industry continue to increase yearly even after the pandemic hit. After this workshop, we won't be experts at programming right away. It takes time and a lot of effort before we become employable as programmers. But let us take this opportunity to expand our horizons in the IT and software industry as we learn the basics of programming. So this free workshop may cover just the basics, but this session might just be the key to coding your future. So thank you very much, and I hope we all learned this morning.
There you have it. Thank you so much, Director Emmy, for that very warm message. And of course, we are very thankful to our partner, DICT, for being so supportive in our initiative. So there, even though we'll just be tackling the basics, no, but again, this might be the key for you to becoming a successful tech professional. And with that one, I would like to call in the Project Development Officer of the ICT Industry Development Bureau, Mr. John Paul Hilumina, to give us some few announcements about the ICT. Hi,
Thank you
Jabs.
very
Good
much, Miss
morning.
Isay. Hi. So for today, I'll be discussing the IIDB projects that we have for the IT BPM industry, which will primarily employ the tech professionals that we are trying to educate today. So if you could just share the slide, please. There you go. So before I proceed with the presentation, I would like to thank Stacktrek in behalf of the DICT for sharing their knowledge in this workshop and introducing us to a new digital skill. So computer programming can be important in the coming or in this age or in the coming years because the IT BPM industry is one of the more consistent industries in employing Filipino people. So, as Director Emmy mentioned, activities like these show how the private sector and the government can work together for the benefit of the Filipino people. So, just to have a slight information about the IIDB, our office is mandated to help fulfill the ICT's mission of ensuring sustainable growth of the Philippine ICT-enabled industries, resulting to the creation of more jobs. So, next slide, please. So there you go. The Philippine IT BPM industry has actually continued its growth despite the negative effects of the pandemic. As you can see in the figures, uh, the 2021 figures, last 2021, the IT BPM industry employed 1.41 million Filipinos and generated 29 billion US dollars in revenues. So the industry did not survive it actually thrived despite the pandemic. So alternative work arrangements such as work from home, where you only need a computer and a stable internet connection, is for your job. So being a computer programmer, it's one of the more flexible jobs in the market today. You can do it in the comforts of your home. Next slide, please. So for the IT-BPM industry, we have LIFT, or leveraging the IT-BPM industry and fostering local talent. So the objectives of this project are for talent development and attraction, networking, marketing and promotion, and delivering industry-specific assistance. Next slide, please. Through LIFT, the DICT aims to contribute to the IT-BPM industry in terms of the following outcomes. So the sustained growth in both the full-time employment and revenue for the industry, a stronger network of key players in the IT-BPM industry, the availability of relevant industry data through research, and a workforce that is aware of the global trends in the industry. Next slide, please. The industry partners of the DICT for LIFT are the IT and Business Process Association of the Philippines, Animation Council of the Philippines, Game Developers Association of the Philippines, Contact Center Association of the Philippines, the Global In-House Center Council, Healthcare Information Management Association of the Philippines, and the Philippine Software Industry Associations. Next slide, please. So with IBPAP, these are the projects of the ICT under LIFT. So we have the industry ambassadors, the development of the skills framework for the IT-BPM, career and awareness fairs, and the support to the IT-BPM roadmap, which will be released, I think, in by next week in the International Innovation Summit. Next slide, please. With HEMAP, we have the HIMS. It's a Philippine delegation where they go to the United States for marketing and promoting the healthcare information management industry here in the Philippines. We also have HIMSCon and Career Service webinar. Next slide, please. For the Philippine Software Industry Association, we have SODEC. It's also a Philippine delegation to Japan, and it's also a marketing and promotion activity for the Philippine software industry. We also have SoftCon, which will be happening on October 24 to 26. Next slide. For the game developers, we also have projects like How to Work Online Workshop, the Creative Women's Kapihan, Introductory Blender Workshop, and Unity Workshop. Next slide, please. For the Contact Center Association of the Philippines, we have Contact Islands, which will be held in Boracay next month. And we also have the CCAP Leadership Summit. Next slide. For the Animation Council of the Philippines, we have Animahinasyon, ICT Creative Awards Night, Icon Manila, and Animation Fusion. Next slide. The next project that we have for the IT-BPM industry is the Philippine Skills Framework. This project is for enhancing the competencies and skills of Filipino workers to meet the ever-increasing demands of the global IT-BPM industry. The IIDB is developing the Philippine Skills Framework that is essential for upskilling and reskilling, which what we are doing in today's workshop. And the target industries for the Philippine Skills Framework are analytics and AI, software development, contact center and BPM, healthcare information management, and the Global In-House Center. Next slide, please. So for the creative industry, which is actually an ICT-enabled industry, the DICT is supporting it through EPIC, or empowering, promoting, and invigorating the digital creative industry. So just like LIFT, the objectives of this program is also talent attraction, marketing and promotion, data gathering, analysis, monitoring, and evaluation. Next slide. So through EPIC, IIDB aims to achieve the following outcomes for the creative industry: foster the professional growth and creativity of Filipino content creators, strengthen existing partnerships with local and global key stakeholders, attract new global investors, and to continuously increase the number of the creative industry players in the Philippines, increase the revenue and headcount of the creative industry. Next slide. So the industry partners for EPIC are the Animation Council of the Philippines, the Creative Content Creators Association of the Philippines, Comiket, and GDAP. Next slide, please. So with Comiket, these are the support projects that we have. So comiket.com, it's a website that we are developing that aims to be an online comics and art market. We have the ongoing Philippine International Comics Festival, which is held every weekend of September. Next slide, please. For the Creative Content Creators Association of the Philippines, we have AYO 2022, which will be held in Cebu on October 7 to 8. And we are also conducting a market sizing research with for the Philippine creative industries, and we are supporting the Filipino creative content creators by sending them to MIPCOM, which is the international market for creative content. Next slide, please. So this year, the IIDB will also be developing audiovisual presentations for each subsectors in the IT/BPM industry, which the subsectors and the partner associations can use for marketing and promotions and raising awareness on the many contributions and opportunities that the industry offers. Next slide. So we also the DICT also has a comprehensive program for the vibrant and booming startup ecosystem in the country. For a brief description, startups are new businesses offering an innovative product or service that will disrupt the market or offer something new. So maybe after learning a few skills about computer programming, if a few of us here are budding entrepreneurs, you can certainly develop and come up with a startup. So for the startups, we have DSDAP, or the Digital Startup Development and Acceleration Program. Next slide, please. Here are the objectives of this program. So support for research and development, promote access to programs, support participation in local and international events and competition, support collaboration, support the development and growth of the enterprises, and developing policies for the startup ecosystem. Next slide. So DSDAP is comprised of five main components, namely scale or startup community and local enhancement, which is tackling the startup mapping activities of the program, where we gather information about the existing startups in certain areas. Raising awareness and inspiring the startup ecosystem, which is the base program in enhancing the basic knowledge and interest for the startup industry. We also have Step Up, or the Startup Tailored Enhancement and People-Focused Upskilling Program. And we also have the Startup Grant Fund, or SGF. It's the DICT's initiative to provide funding to early stage startups. We also have the the Startup Philippines website, and lastly, Innovation Studios, which is still under development, but it hopes to provide ample assistance in the development of more innovations and entrepreneurship efforts within the Philippine startup ecosystem. Last slide. So there you go. These are the projects of the ICT Industry Development Bureau. And you may reach us at that email address. And you can also follow our Facebook page, wherein you can see other free webinars and other projects of the Bureau. Thank you, Ms. Isay.
Thank you so much, Japs, for that presentation. All right. Okay. So, while waiting for my screen to be shared, again, I would like to remind everyone to make sure that you have successfully enrolled in the course that we will be using for our workshop this morning. And also, as based from our email, no? So only those who completed the pre-session assignment, okay? That's the wherein you will be enrolling. Confirmed your attendance, make sure to comment your name and the place you are watching from, and completed the coding activity, which we will be doing in a while, will be given the digital certificate of participation. So there, make sure to do all those three, complete the pre-session assignment, comment your name and the place that you are watching from, and make sure that you will be completing your coding activity in a while there. So, with that one, let us all go to the most exciting part of our event this morning. We will be coding your first program in 40 minutes. So, dun sa mga first time, no? Dun sa mga second time, somehow they already know what to expect, no? So, for those yung mga first timers, make sure to listen. And again, if you have any problems or any issues that you will be encountering during the workshop, feel free to type them in the comment section and our product team will be assisting you. And with that one, let us proceed to our coding workshop. I would like to call in our very own senior software engineer at Stacktrek, Jive Monteroso. Hi, Jive.
Hello, good morning everyone. Thank you, Miss Isai. Hello everyone, good morning. All right. Can everyone hear me? Am I audible? Yes?
Yep, yep.
All right.
How about for our viewers?
All right. So hello. I've also noticed, Miss Isai, that there are a lot of people also tuning in from YouTube and Facebook. So all
We
right.
also
Hello
have from
every
LinkedIn.
Yes, you also have from people from LinkedIn. So we're very much excited to share and impart the knowledge that we have also been able to grasp from the previous learning experience that we've had. And I'm pretty much excited to share with you the fundamentals and basics of coding, most especially in Python. All right. So, without further ado, let's start this one. So, just to set your expectations, everyone, we're here today. We're going to talk about the basics. Our goal is to provide or be able to hone industry level, industry ready programmers. So, if you're career shifters, either if you don't have any background with coding or programming, I'm sure that this is going to be beginner friendly, and this will help you boost that confidence into pursuing your passion for programming. All right, so if I may, I'll now share my screen. Um, Hold on, let me share my screen for a bit. All right, are we ready on this one yet? Are we ready on this one? We'll start. All right. So again, good morning, everyone. I am Jive Monteroso. I am an instructor at Stacktrek, and for today, for today's Code Your Future session, we're going to talk about the basics and the fundamentals of programming, and with the mission to produce more industry-ready programmers. So, kahit wherever you're from, whatever your background is, we're able to, you know, start the foundation and build and, you know, enhance those skills in programming. All right, so for today, our topic or our programming language that we'll be dealing with is Python. So, in Python, in programming languages, there are data types that we need. So, there are variables, there are objects, and data types are what describes an object. It is a property that defines what type of an object is a variable or an object. So to be specific, so data types are actually classes, and the variables are instances of these classes. So what are example of these data types? Because we always hear when we encounter several programming problems, we encounter data types. What are the basic examples of data types in Python? So the first one is we have integers. So an integer is a whole number, basically a number that does not have any decimal value. So it can be of any length. It is only limited by the memory available. So it can be 100, it can be 5, it can be 2, it can be 9, it can be 1,000. As long as it does not have a decimal value, it is considered an integer, a whole number. Now, there are two types of number data types or numeric data types in Python. So for the basics, we also have another type which we call a floating point or a float, or others would call it as double. So a floating point number is a type that stores a decimal value of a number. So let's say, for instance, 2.5, so 1.7, 1.6, 0.2. So those are examples of floating point values. Now, we ask ourselves, what is the importance of having a floating point variable and having, data, an integer variable. So in most cases, the floating point variables are used to preserve the integrity of the data. So when we say preserve the integrity, it secures that the number is at its accurate value. So let's say, for example, 5 divided by 2, when we just instantiate it as an integer, the answer is just 2 because 5 divided by 2 is 2. But when we say it's a floating point number, the value is a floating point value, the number is going to be 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. In this case, it preserves the integrity of the value, it preserves the accurate value of a number. In this case, 2.5, because in programming, in data, um, zero point zero 0.01 can really make a difference with your value. So that's why we also need to introduce the floating point value. All right, another primitive data type that we use in Python are Python strings. So string is sequence of Unicode characters that we use as single quotes or double quotes to represent strings. So multi-line strings can be denoted using triple quotes. So what are examples of a string? So an example of a string would be this one. This is a string. It could also be your name. It could also be my name, Jive. So S is equal to Jive, or S is equal to Stacktrek, or S is equal to programming. So it can be of any length for as long as you enclose it in double quotes or single quotes. Now, always make sure that we have different operations for string data types and numeric data types. So I'll be discussing that further later. So yeah, so basically when you also want to display or instantiate a multi-line string, like in this case, you have to enclose it in triple quote. So this is a triple single quote, and this is a double quote. A double quote for a single line string, while a triple quote is for multiple line string or displaying a long string with multiple lines. All right. So sometimes we ask ourselves, programming is really difficult sometimes. Like there are a lot of things that we need to take into account. And another facet of in programming that we need to account are conditionals. So, as I would describe, conditionals is the backbone of logics in our programming, because it defines or it describes how our program behaves. It can be, it can behave in one way based on a logic, but it can behave also otherwise depending on another logic that we instantiate it. So, an example of a conditional, a very basic example of a conditional, is a conditional is a used in Python for decision making. It executes both the true part and the false part of a given situation. So it's like basically asking ourselves and performing a task depending on the output of our decision making. So if the condition is true, the block of code is executed, and if the condition is false, it skips the block of code, or it executes the block of code that satisfies the else statement or the condition otherwise. So how do we more like explain that in a beginner friendly way? So let's say, for example, this one. So we have a test expression So a test expression are the logics that we test. So the expression is checked in this part. So um, after that, we have two brackets. We have a true or false, because when doing decision making, we always have a true test case and a false test case. And if the true test case is satisfied, it executes the block of code inside the true test case. Else, it executes the one in false. So similar to what is stated here, the statement present in the body of the block will be executed depending on the expression that it is being satisfied. So what is the example of that? So an example would be asking yourself, like, if um, number is divisible by 2. So if your number is divisible by 2, if it's true, we output it's even. Else, we output that it is odd. So just an overview, a quick overview on how this works, conditionals. So that's basically like the stepping stone into understanding logics and understanding if-else statements. So yes. Also, in Python, we also make use of arithmetic operators. So arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical operations. I'm particularly sure that maybe some of us or most of us are familiar with this one in our basic mathematics class in before in elementary. We use this: the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And also, in programming languages, particularly in Python, we also use arithmetic operators to perform certain tasks, to perform computation, to perform, logic. So sometimes if you're wondering, how does, Shopee or Lazada compute my, compute my total cost for 11/11, let's say 11/11 shopping spree. So simply, we use arithmetic operators where it makes use of addition, the plus sign, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So these are the very basic arithmetic operators that we'll be dealing throughout the course of this coding workshop. So an example of this one would be this code, this block of code. For addition and subtraction, if you can see in the first two lines, it initializes the first two variables x and y into values 15 and 4 respectively, and then it prints the value in the succeeding two lines for the sum and the difference of the x and y values. So in this case, in line 3, it prints the sum of x and y, 15 plus 4, and then it notes there x plus y, so it prints 19. Also, in the fourth line, it makes use of the subtraction operation wherein it subtracts 4 from 15. So it prints x minus 1 is equal to x minus y. So if x is 15, minus 4 is 11. So that is why in the output that we can see on the right side, we can see that the sum of the two numbers, x plus y is 19 and x minus y is 11. Now, moving on to multiplication and division. So multiplication and division basically behaves the same way as addition and subtraction. It's just that it uses, different mathematical operations, but basically the application and the use is pretty much similar. So in multiplication, we use the asterisk symbol to denote a multiplication operation, while we use a backslash to note a division operation in Python. So in this case, the user also initializes two variables, x and y, with values 15 and 4 respectively. So x is 15, y is 4, and then it prints the value x times y is equal to x times y, which is 15 times 4 is 60. And then x divided by y is basically 15 divided by 4, which is 3.75. Now you might be wondering, sir, why is it's a floating point? Because Python automatically detects the value that is being retrieved from the operation. So in this case, the value is automatically cast as a floating point and not an integer, because it knows that when you divide 15 by 4, the value is not a whole number. It is a floating point number that has a decimal value. So basically, this is the arithmetic operators, or these are the arithmetic operators that you'll be encountering over the course of this coding workshop, and most probably in the early stages of your, coding career. So this is very important also. Next, let's proceed with logical operators. So, what are logical operators, and how is this different from arithmetic operators that we've discussed earlier? So, logical operators are used to perform operation on values and variables. And these are special symbols that carry out arithmetic and logical computations. It's quite, it's not quite understandable at this stage. So, let's give you an example. So an example of logic operators are and or. Those are the very basic operators that we have. The and operator and the or operator. And returns true if both operands or if both logic are true. Else it returns false. So for example, I have here a logic, an operands x and y. Now it asks, if is x is true, if you can see here, there's a diamond, there's already a decision making here. Is x is true? If it's true, it proceeds to evaluate whether y is also true. Now, based on the principle of and operators, it only returns true if all statements are true. So in this case, if you can see, if x is true, it proceeds to ask if y is true. And if y is true, same as x, it outputs true. Now, what happens when one or more operator is false? So it asks, is x true? If x is already not true at the early stage, if it's already false, then it outputs false. Because based on the principle again, if one or more operand or logic is false, basing on the and rule, it already outputs as false. Now let's say if x is true, in this stage x is true, and then evaluates is y true. But in this case, let's say y is false. Then if x is true, then y is false, and then it outputs a false output. Meaning, it can only be true if all operands or if all logic that is being evaluated are true. Very similar, a very goes like this one. Na if A is 10, B is 10, and C is negative 10. So in this case, it evaluates, is A greater than 0? Yes, because A is 10. A is greater than 0 and B is greater than 0. So after it evaluates A as greater than 0, it then asks, is B also greater than 0? And based on our code here in line number 2, B is 10. So is A greater than 10 and B is greater than 10? So it prints the numbers are both greater than 0. So it's correct because A is greater than 10 and B is greater than 10. Therefore, it satisfies the first statement from our if-else block of code. Now it works very differently with um, the or operators because unlike and or is more understanding. Just to explain it very briefly and gently, or is more understanding. Hindi siya, or it's not that strict. It's not that strict with the and operator, wherein the or operator returns true if at least one operand is true. Okay? So regardless if there are 100, regardless if there are 100 operations there, and one is true, it will always return true. So in this case, there are two operands again, x and y. It evaluates, is x true? If true, and then it evaluates again if it's y true. And at least if there is one condition that is true, it will return true. Understood? So in the code here, in the OR operator, we have A is equal to 10, B is equal to negative 10, and C is 0. As we can see in our first if-else logic statement, if A is greater than 0 and B is greater than 0. So what do we do first? We evaluate, is A greater than 0? By principle and by logic, yes, indeed it is, because 10 is greater than 0 in mathematics. Now it asks, is b greater than 0? We can see that b here is a value negative 10. And by principle, negative values are always less than 0. So we have one true test case scenario and one false scenario. A is true and B is true. But by virtue of the OR operator, if at least one of the numbers or one operand is true, it will always print true. So in this case, it satisfies the if condition because A is true and B is false. So it outputs that either of the number is greater than 0. Now we ask ourselves, when does the OR operator become false? The OR operator only returns false when all statements are false. Okay? So unlike the AND condition that it evaluates every operation and when there is at least one that is false, it returns false. It's more strict compared to OR operator. OR operator is under an understanding operator that when at least there is one operator that is true, then it will return true. It satisfies the equation. And it will only return false if all the operands that are being evaluated are false. All right? Now, how do we put this in practice? Um, Python is a very unique programming language because you have to take note of the indentation. But later, I will discuss it when we do our demo. So, how do we put what we've learned so far in the last 10 or 15 minutes into practice? So, let's basically try our coding expression. So, if you can see here, I'll share my other screen. So, if you can see here that in stack um, ed, in the site stack ed, there is a course that you have here. All right, there's a course that you have here, and then right at the bottom left corner, there's a coding playground that you can click, where you can explore and play around with the code that you have. So this is where you put your skills to test. So in this case, I will click the coding playground and it redirects me to the coding playground that we have. So let's share that screen again. Strictly the coding playground. All right. Where is that? Yeah. So if you can see here, we have the coding playground ready. So how do we use it? So basically, when you're given a problem, the initial instinct is, how do I solve this one? Now, my number one rule when you are dealing with a problem that you are given is that try to understand the problem. What is given, what is asked, and how do you think you can solve this problem in a non-programming way. So try to solve it first in the most casual way, and then try to convert it in a way that it's programming friendly, it's being readable by our language. So in the deck that I have prepared with you, we have here a problem, a sample problem wherein um, here. Apologies. Here. So we have here an exercise. So I will tell you a story. So the exercise will revolve around a story of a family that wants to visit an amusement park. So basically, with the holidays season just around the corner, and with the environment that we have right now that's slowly getting back on its feet, slowly getting back to normal, businesses are opening up again. So we see carousels, we see theme parks, we see carnivals, and then we have a family here that wants to visit a theme park, and they want to know how much would their transaction would cost considering the theme park rules. So in this case, we are given a problem. So this is what I've been telling you, that when you're coding, try to analyze first what is given and what is the problem. So in this case, you're asked to create a program that computes the total cost of a transaction of a family, where if they want to visit a theme park on any day of the week. However, the days of the week has a different hourly rate for adults and children. So similar to when you visit, a different carnival, rates for children and adults are different. And sometimes rates on weekends are much more expensive compared to weekdays. So this is also the same. This is what is given. However, since it's the holiday season, it's also important to note that per transaction per family, the carnival pledges to donate 12% of their transaction sales to charity. So that's what we're given. We're given the percentage of how much is donated to charity. We're given the rates of the adults and children for every day of the week. So we have 120 for Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 150 for Wednesdays and Saturdays, and 200 for Sunday. And whatever the price for the adults, 20% is the discounted price for the children per day. Now, let's try to understand what are the inputs of our program. What is being asked when we try to when we try to run our program. So, particularly, the program asks for the day because the day determines how much would a ticket cost for an adult or for a children. It also asks the number of adults. So the line number 2 is the number of adults. Line number 3 is the number of children visiting the carnival or the theme park. The fourth line is the number of hours that they'll be going to visit the carnival. And the last line, the line number 5, is the amount that they're going to pay. So let's say I'm paying 2,000 pesos. So their total bill is 107.28. So I will compute the change in my output that I still have extra 272. Now, after understanding the requirements, after understanding what is the given, after being able to analyze what is being asked from you, you need to also analyze now the output. So, what is asked from me? What is asked from me is that I need to output the total adult fee. How much is being asked for adults per hour, per person? How much is being asked per children per hour? And then, how much is the total bill? And then I also need to see in my receipt how much from my total bill is donated to charity. So in this case, this one. So this is how much of my payment is being donated to charity. This is 12% of my actual bill. And how much is my payment? So also, if your payment is not enough, it will just say that you don't have enough money. You still need this much money to continue with the carnival. So join me as we try and code uh, this problem. So very important, when you do your when you're on your playground, always make sure that the language here is Python. All right, Python, and then we have here our custom input and our output. So basically, this is the custom input, and this is the custom output. So let me just share a specific window so it will not disturb when I'm opening a different tab. So just pardon me for this one. I'm sharing a specific tab. Mm, all right. I believe I'm already sharing my Stacktrek playground. So here it is. So again, we try to understand what is asked from us. What do we need from the users? So here we need the day of the week that they visit, the number of adults, the number of children visiting, the number of hours, and how much are they paying us. So we say here number or day of the week is equal to, you have to initialize what type it is. So it is a string input. So this is how we ask an input from a user, and then we cast it as string because the day of the week is a string: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The next thing that we're going to ask is the number of adults visiting the theme park, and the number of adults is an integer because there can't be a one half person. The person should always be a whole number, right? Next, we also need to do the number of children. So the number of children is also an integer because it's also a whole number because there can't be a one half person. And then let's say number of hours. So let's say the theme park is strictly implementing hours that are whole number based. So 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So there can be 30 minutes. So let's say input. So this is how we're gonna ask input from the user, and then we're going to ask for the payment. So how much are they paying us? So just to check if they still have change or if the funds are enough. So payment is equal to we initialize this one as float because they may be paying cents or a piece just to initialize with 00, and then this one. Now, we do very know that we have constants. We do know that the discount for children is 20%, and how much of our bill is donated is going to be 12%. Is going to be 12%. So 12% of that will be donated to charity. So let's say child discount is equal to 0.2. Now remember, you can always initialize this one as 20 divided by 100 or 0.2 because this is a percentage. So this is initializing constants. Constants. And also we know that charity donation is 0.12 or 12 divided by 100 or 12%. Now, the next five lines here are what our user inputs. So we input here the user inputs the day of the week, the number of adults visiting, the number of children, the number of hours, and the payment that they are giving. Now we're going to ask. Now we're going to set the base rate of the payment, whether it's a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, or a Sunday. So as you can see, Wednesdays and Saturdays have 150. Sunday has entrance fee of 200, and all other days are 120. Now we do an if statement here. We say if the day of the week is equal to Sunday, we know that our adult rate is how much? Adult rate is at 200. All right? And if it is not Sunday, it checks whether our day of the week is either a Wednesday or our day of the week is Saturday. And our adult rate is equivalent to 150. Now it checks when the user all inputs a day, it asks, is it Sunday? If yes, it initializes the adult rate to 200. If it's not Sunday, it checks. Else if it's either. So it's either because let's say they're visiting once. So it's either Wednesday or Saturday. So this is where the or operator comes in. It's either Wednesday or Saturday. It is 150 pesos. Now else, which means if it's any other day, the adult rate is at 120 pesos. So we're now able to initialize how much is the entrance fee for adults, whether it's Sunday, it's Wednesday or Saturday, or it's any other day. Now we ask, why don't we need to initialize Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday? It's because when we check here, it's going to be false. When we check here, the day when we say we input Tuesday, when we check the first if, it's going to be false. When we check the else if, it's going to be false and false, so it will return false. It will by default go into the else statement. So that's why we don't need to specify specifically Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. Now we do know that once we know the adult rate, we also need to compute the rate of the child entrance fee, and that is 20% of the adult rate. So let's say child rate is equal to adult rate minus the adult rate multiplied by the child discount, which means whatever the adult rate here, it is multiplied by 20% based on our constant here 0.2, and whatever the result of that, it's going to be subtracted from the adult rate. So child rate is equal to adult rate minus adult rate times child discount. So that is how we computed the discount for the child. Now, we need to compute the rate of the adult. So basically, we know how much a ticket for an adult costs for a specific day, how much hours they're going to spend there, and how many adults are there because the number of hours is given, the number of adults is also given, and the base rate of adults is also given. So we try to compute ticket adult is going to be the adult rate multiplied by the number of adults visiting multiplied by multiplied by how many hours that they're going to be visiting. So number hours. So this is basically how we compute the ticket for the adults. Now I want to show that this is decimal place format. So I think this is going to input already a decimal place because we initialize here floating point. So let's compute the child ticket. So the child ticket ticket for child is basically the child rate child rate multiplied by the number of children multiplied by the number of hours that they're going to visit the theme park. So if you can see here, the child value for the entrance fee will be going to, is going to be different because the child rate is dependent on the discount that it's getting from the adults. Now that we have the rate for the child and the adults, we need to know now how much from or how much is our total bill. So we say total bill is going to be adult rate plus child rate. Simple as that. We're going to compute the rate of all the adult tickets plus all the tickets of the children, and then the total of that will be the total bill that the family is going to pay. Now, based on the instructions that we have met earlier, 12% of our total bill is going to be donated to charity since it's Christmas or it's a holiday season. So let's say charity bill is going to be total bill multiplied by the charity donation that we have here as constant. So oh, it's misspelled. Charity donation. And then, and that's it. We are able to compute the charity bill donation. Now, the next question that we have is how are we going to display this one, or um, what are our logic also, since you also need to know if the payment is enough. All right. So, we need to check if the payment is less than the total bill. If payment is less than the total bill, we're going to print we're going to print not enough money. Not enough money. Else, which means the amount that I've paid is enough. So the family can proceed to getting the receipt. So else, if my payment is sufficient, it computes the change. So the change is how much the excess of your payment from your total bill. So by that, we need to use subtraction. So our change is denoted by payment minus the total bill, which means whatever we pay, we subtract our total bill and then we still have a change. Meaning, if our payment is greater than or equal the total bill, it satisfies this condition and executes this block of code. Else, it prints the not enough money. So considering that we already have how much the change is here, we need to print. We need to print now our output. So we say print, and then the first that we're going to print is the total adult fee. So total adult fee is going to be the adult ticket adult. So ticket adult. Next, we're going to print the child adult total children fee. So total child fee is going to be ticket underscore child. And now we're printing the total entrance fee, our total entrance fee is the one that we have computed earlier. So this is the importance of initializing it. Passing it onto variables, everyone. So when we pass our computations here into variables, it makes use of the variables here, and it's not going to be redundant that we're going to compute here for the adult multiplied by number of adults multiplied by hours. So since the variables here act as placeholder already, we can already use that one here when we display our output. Now the total entrance fee is going to be total bill. Since the total bill here is the adult rate plus child rate. Now, I need to compute how much, or it needs to output in our receipt how much is being donated to charity from our total bill. Let's say charity donation, oops, charity donation is going to be the charity bill. Now, assuming that this is already a block of code wherein our payment is more than our total bill, it assumes that we have change, either it's zero or more. So it also computes here change. Change is our change. So that's basically it. All right. So is it still fine with everyone? Would like to check on you if you're able to follow the coding exercise. Yes. Were you able to catch up on the exercise, or you have any questions with regards to the coding? All right. All right. We're seeing here in the comments that there are people were able to follow. So far we are able to understand the code, right? The logic that we're getting. So I always tell learners, I always tell people, when you do programming, it's kind of overwhelming. The feeling is kind of overwhelming when you get an instruction or you get a problem, and you get terrified. Like, oh, the problem is too big. How am I going to solve this one? Just take a moment and pause and read the instructions carefully and try to understand what is given, what is asked, how am I going to do about this one. So, all right. We have here a question from Facebook that why is the backslash n in print? So the backslash n is used to note a new line. So it's new line. So the backslash n is used to, it's an enter key that we use here. It's because if we just place it without n, our output is going just to be in a single line, and we don't want that. The receipt it's broken down into different lines, so that's the purpose of a new line. So it's an expression for that, for an enter key. Um, do you still follow? Are we good? Now, the question is, are we ready to test our code? Now, are we able to satisfy the equation that we need in our block of code? Now, let's see. Let's see here. Now, we have to input something on our custom input. Now, let's say the family is visiting on a Sunday, which means the rate is kind of expensive. and there are two adults visiting, let's say the parents or the grandparents, and then there are three children. So there are three children, two adults visiting, and then how many hours are they going to visit? So let's say it's going to be 3 hours. So it's kind of expensive for a Sunday rate, 200 per person, and then there are five of them, and they're going to visit for 3 hours. And now the family paid 3,000 pesos. Now let's execute our code and observe what the output is. Now if you can see here that the total adult fee is 1,200 pesos. Now why is it 1,200 pesos? It is because the adult rate is at 200 multiplied by the number of adults. Now, there are two adults, remember? 200 times 2 is 400 times the number of hours that they're going to visit. So, 400 times 3, that's why it's 1,200. Now, the total child fee is quite expensive considering that there is a discount, but you have to note that there are three children visiting the theme park. So it's going to be 200 less 20%, so that's 160 pesos. So 160 pesos multiplied by three children's, so that's 480 pesos, and then multiplied by 3 hours. So that's 1,440 pesos. So if you can see here, you can see here 1,440 pesos, and our total entrance fees, our total bill is, I missed wrote it here. The total bill is should be total adult, ticket adult plus the ticket child. My apologies on that one. Ticket adult plus the ticket child. So when I execute the code, the total entrance fee is at 2,640 pesos. Meaning 2,640, where is it derived from? It is derived from 1,200 plus 1,440. So it's 2,640. Now, 12% of 2,640 will be donated to charity. So meaning, the charity will take 316.80 pesos of what we paid, and yeah, it will going to be donated to a foundation or to charity for Christmas or for the holidays. And considering that in my input here, I placed 3,000 pesos, meaning I paid 3,000 pesos. 3,000 minus 2,640, it's going to be, the change is 360 pesos. So if I pay the cashier 3,000 pesos, it's going to give me a change worth 360. Now let's say if I input here that I only paid 1,500 and the total bill is 2,640, it's going to output not enough money, because when it goes into this if statement, it already asks, is the payment less than? So if yes, it's going to say not enough money. If it's greater than or equal to, let's say I paid exactly 2,640, when I execute that, it says I have a change of zero. So why is it not putting not enough money? Because 2,640 is not less than 2,640. So it's able to compute that one. All right? And we can just play around. Let's say they visit on a Monday. It's much cheaper on a Monday on a weekday. Let's say I still paid 3,000 pesos. So we assume that the payment or the fee is going to be less than 2,640. So when I execute here, the adult fee is just 720. The child is just going to be 864. And the change is just going, and the total entrance fee is just going to be 1,584 pesos. Got it? Now, we can see here that there are the charity donation here is quite lengthy in terms of centavos, and we want it to display in two decimal places, so we can always format that one here in our printing. So let's say the charity here, you know charity format, meaning it converts into a string, is equal to, this is how you format into two decimal places. So F means float, and the point 2 is 2 decimal places. So point 2, and then we're going to say dot format charity bill. So we've already formatted charity bill into 2 decimal places. Now, instead of using charity bill here as output, we're going to use the charity formatted text already. So when we use that and we execute the code, as you can see here, the charity donation is locked in on 2 decimal places already. This is not just limited to the charity bill. You can always use this one to format. I can set this one to point 0.5 if I want 5 decimal places. So that's why it's 190.08000. I can set it to 10 if I want to. If I want it lengthy, there. I can set it to 1 as well if I just want 1 decimal place. But for transparency's sake, since sometimes when we pay our bills, we always credit at least at most 2 decimal places. So I will put point 2f here and execute the code, and it will format here. Now, we ask ourselves, why is it that the others are not formatting it to lengthy? Because by computation, um, the numbers, when you try to divide it, the numbers are locked in already on decimal places. If you can see, it's point zero, and point zero. So that's how it's locked in. We can also format this one to 2 decimal places. So for total entrance fee, let's say total bill. So let's copy this code here, and we say total format and point to the 2 decimal places, and then total bill here, and we copy the total format to place it here, and we execute this one. It's going to give us 2 decimal places. All right, are you able to follow me, everyone? So someone's here, invalid literal for int with base 10 Sunday. So as you can see, everyone, other people are having difficulty with the input. It's because you have to initialize your day of the week as string and not as integer, because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are string literals. Those aren't numbers, those aren't floating points. So for people here experiencing problems, always make sure that the string is initialized as string. Also, getting here, a most common problem is EOF when reading a line. So EOF when reading a line or no output. If you see no output in your when you execute their code, it means that you're not able to print anything. So that's why there's no output. When you say EOF or end of line when reading, it means that your input is less than or greater than the required. Here we say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 inputs. In our playground, we have 5, the day of the week, number of adults, number of children, number of hours, and the payment, which means in our custom input, it should always have Monday, 2, 3, 3, and 3,000. So it must have 5 lines, because if I remove the line here for the number 5, it's lacking one input. It will also give me the error EOF when reading a line. All right, so make sure to check your inputs that it's sufficient based on what you're asking from here. All right, let me also check um, what are the errors that other learners are getting on the um, you know playground. But when you say no output, it probably has no print. When it's EOF, error when reading, error end of line, it means your custom inputs are insufficient based on what you're asking. Invalid syntax. Please check your code that we for invalid syntax. It might be a problem here for the if statement. Make sure that when you are comparing, when you're using is equal to, make sure it's double equals. So when we are assigning value, For example, here, I'm assigning the child rate to the adult rate discounted parts. I only use one equal sign. One equal sign means assignment. When I use double equals, it means evaluating whether it's equal. So make sure to check on that. Probably there might be one um, equal. Also, everyone, make sure to check on your indentation. Indentation is very much important in Python, since Python is very strict with indentation. So make sure that you are able to check here that after you put if here, it should be one indentation away from the line at the left. Because if not, it's also going to pose an error. Expected an indented block. So here should be an indented since Python is strict on indentation. Other than that, those statements, block of codes that you have after, aren't really part of the if statement, so you can always move those back at the starting line, at the starting left side of your program. For people showing no output, please check if you have print statements. So print statements are important. So if you don't have print statement, it's going to say no output. So let's say I delete this one. I delete this one and I execute the code considering I have inputs. When I execute the code, it will going to show me no output because I don't have any print statements here. Right there. So make sure that you have print statements. Oh, someone here commented can't find EOF. So for people that have EOF errors, make sure that you have 5 lines in your input. We have the day, the number of adults, the number of children, the number of hours, and the payment. Make sure that there are 5, no more or no less. Also, for people having syntax errors, make sure that after your if and your else statements here, keywords, always end by a colon. It will pose a syntax error also if you don't place a colon right after those statements. Same as here. If day of the week is not equal, so it puts a colon here and a colon here also in the elif and also in the else. Anyone also getting errors? Let's check here. Ticket child is not defined. Oh, it probably is a misspelling. So you might have misspelled the ticket child above. So it says here ticket child is not defined. So when you try to use the ticket child here, ticket child must not is probably not defined here. So let's say I have a misplaced or a misspelled ticket child here, and I use the correct spelling below. It will post an error that ticket child is not defined. So make sure that you are able to use correct spelling. All right, try to check on that. Any errors with the others? Oh, I see people being able to complete. All right, there are people. So float object has no attribute to f. So make sure it's point to f, not to f. So it's colon point to f because it's decimal 2. So 2.2f, not 2f. So let's try to remove that 1 point. So it will also, oh, it's working, but for sake of having it on 2 decimal places, put point to f for floating. Does the curly bracket function differs from the curve ones? So in this one, we use the curly bracket. So we're not using parentheses. We're not using angle straight bracket. So we're using the curly ones, the wavy. All right. Let's try to check in other errors that we are getting here. Oh, we're seeing people being able to complete their exercises. There's another error here. Total bill is not defined. It probably is your total bill is misspelled on top. Make sure that your total bill here, where it's first used or its first use is of correct spelling. Otherwise, if you try to use it below and it's of different spelling, it's going to say it's not defined. So right, again, I'll try to misspell the first instance of total bill. I say total bill, and I'm going to use the correct spelling below. If I execute this one, it's going to say total bill is not defined because it checks here total bill. It cannot find the total bill elsewhere. So make sure to check your spelling, everyone. Make sure that you have the right number of input on your custom input. Oh, not enough money. It probably is your input has not enough money. So it means your code is working. It's just that you have to change the input to whatever amount. So the last line is going to be the payment. So it means your code is working. I can see here people being able to complete the exercise. Oh, completed, completed, completed. Yeah, another area here is inconsistent use of tabs and indentation. So always make sure that there is one indentation or one tab after every if else statement. If not, otherwise you can just put it at the leftmost part of your code. So Python's quite strict on that, so make sure to check indentation. How do I output charity donation to only have two decimals? So as you can see here, we have the charity bill, total bill times 12%. We set it as formatted. That's point 2f and then dot format charity bill. And then we output the string charity format. So don't output the charity bill because charity bill is not yet formatted to point 2 decimal places. So make sure to output this one already, the formatted text. All right, I'm seeing people being able to complete after those. All right, people were able to complete. So quite a number of misspellings here, but it's fine. It's fine. It's your first time. We do understand, but yep. Just try to check on your code. Make sure that you don't have any issues with that. All right, we're seeing quite a number of students here being able to complete their exercises and um, you are able to perform well. So yes, just take a quick screenshot of this one. All right, let me see. Let me see with the others. Completed. Yes, completed. All right. Let's not proceed unless everyone here is getting their code. Still no input. So yeah, no. So make sure to input 5 lines. 5 lines. Yes, make sure that when you're naming your variable, make sure that you put underscore. Variables cannot take 2 words. Okay, variables cannot take 2 words. So make sure if you have variables that has 2 words like total bill, make sure to put an underscore in between those 2 words. All right. Let's check with the others. Are the others working on their code? Let's see. Completed. Just forgot to put underscore. All right. So, another question here is that why are there two equal signs? So, in the if statement, why are we using two equal signs instead of one? Because when we use a single equal sign, it means it's an assignment. We assign the adult rate times no adults times no hours to this variable. So it's assignment. It's like x equals 5. We assign the value 5 to x. When we use double equals means to evaluate. We're evaluating whether the day of the week is equal to Sunday because it's going to pose a syntax error if we just put single equals here because single equals is the assignment. So we're not assigning Sunday to day of the week. We're evaluating whether Sunday is the day of the week that is being inputted. So yes. All right, quite a few number of people here getting their code to work already. Completed, completed. The- yes, correct. The two equal sign represent comparison. So you're comparing whether the day of the week is the same as the literal constant that you're putting, which is Sunday. What's EOF when reading a line? It means that your custom input here is greater than or less than 5. Always make sure here that in line 6 to 10, we are asking 5 inputs from the user. The day of the week, number of adults, number of children, number of hours, and payment. When you're getting EOF, end of line when reading, it means that you don't have enough inputs here. You should have what Monday, the number of adults, the number of children, the number of hours, and the payment. So it should match. It's the 5 inputs here, and it should also have 5 user inputs. So that's why you're getting EOF in reading a line. All right, completed. All right. So someone's asking here, what's the difference between the curly bracket and the straight bracket, like the box? So the angle bracket here, we used it for formatting. So there are a lot of uses here, sometimes for sets. I'm not going to talk more about that. It's more advanced though. But for the straight brackets here, we use that to initialize a list or an array, for example. But in this case, do not confuse yourselves. We're using the curly brackets here. Also, please check if you've placed custom inputs. We are the users and we are also the ones testing our code. So make sure to put custom inputs, 5 custom inputs here. All right, completed also. Argument must be a string, which means here make sure that your arguments here are correct when you're assigning. Day of the week is equal to str input. Number of adults is int input. Number of children is int input. And don't forget to put the open and close parentheses on this one. Someone here name adulterate is not defined. Fit a misspelling. The input is adult A, so remove the A there and your code should work. Not enough money. So make sure that your logic is correct. So make sure to put a big amount of money. It means your code is working. It's just that probably your amount is not defined. So make sure here that the if payment is less than total bill. So if payment is less than total bill, it should just write output not enough money. If it's not, if it's more than or equal to, it should have completed your program. All right. All right. Let's check with the others. Always remember to indent your code after the colon symbol in the if else statement. So if you can see here in line 29 to 30, I have an indentation here because the print here is part of the if. So make sure to indent after that. All right. There are people that are able to complete. Always remember to indent your code after the colon, after the if else. So other than that, you don't have to indent the others. For this one, you have to indent this one. Check in. Completed. Oh, so it's completed with the others. Let's check in with the others. Invalid syntax says one user here, make sure that your if else statement has a colon. Make sure your if else statement has a colon right after, and make sure your If else statement, when you're using equals, it's double. All right. So that's probably the one causing the issue. EOF, when reading a line, incomplete. Incomplete form.
All right. So there you have it. So right now we have been experiencing technical problems aside ni Jive, but I think um yes, we are experiencing a technical problem. So with that one, but um I think that is the end of the program that you should be coding. So for those na medyo nako-confused, we have shared with you the full code which we are flashing on the screen right now. So you can view the full code there and you would be able, so para lang dun sa mga ano, baka may mali lang sa indention, baka may mali sa spelling. So make sure to review the full code via bit.ly/CYF0923. We also sent it here sa comment section. So don't worry, you still have a chance to complete your code. So once you have successfully completed your code, make sure to type in completed on the comment section, no? Completed, and don't forget to screenshot your completed code as you will be attaching that in the certificate request form. So again, type in completed if you have successfully completed your code, and don't forget to screenshot your completed code. There you have it. So I am seeing galing. So I am seeing people who have completed their code already. So ano bang feeling, guys, na you are one step closer to becoming a programmer? No? So we have here may isa, mali daw spelling, but it's now working. All right. So it's good to seeing you guys. So, pa-share naman kung ano yung feeling ninyo while doing. So, especially for those mga first timers. So, ano ba yung feeling ninyo kanina while doing the workshop? Tapos ano yung feeling na hindi niyo nakukuha yung code? Tapos ngayon ano na siya, you were able to complete. Okay, hashtag feeling programmer, o, 'di ba? So, one step closer to being a programmer. Feeling motivated. Wow, thank you so much, Clarence. There. So, may mga kinabahan ba? May mga kinilig? Yung feeling nakakagigil, 'di ba? I love programming. Wow naman. So, hopefully itong mga andito, mga future tech to, naging hacker. Hacker man na daw siya. Galing, galing. So, ang ano pa to, ang dami kong problema sa buhay pero ito natapos ko ang saya, 'di ba? Ito yung type of problem na parang ayaw mong bitawan, 'di ba? The typical problems na na-experience natin is that gusto natin bitawan. Ito yung type of problem na ayaw nating bitawan, nakakagigil pag na-solve mo na, 'di ba? Ang saya, overwhelmed, fulfilling pag nahanap mo yung error. So, 'yon, pwede na kayong screenshot nyo yung completed code nyo tapos upload nyo sa social media tapos lagyan nyo ng hashtag feeling programmer or hashtag road to programmer. Again, congratulations for all who those completed their code. And again, that's one step already to pursuing a career in tech. So ano ba? Magiging programmers na ba tayo? And with that one, we would like to give you, all right, katuwa pero kaloka. Yes, relate much. Okay, so this is done. So at this moment, no, since you already have a glimpse of what it's like to be working in the tech industry. And now, at this moment, we will be giving you an info session of our full stack bootcamp. So we have an ongoing full stack bootcamp, especially for those people who would really like to pursue a career in tech. So I would like to call in our very own head of growth at Stacktrek, Miss Haifa Karina Baluyos, to give us an overview of our full stack bootcamp.
One, if today you are very interested to pursue a career as a coder in the IT industry, but isn't confident with your skills or with having zero or minimal experience, then this opportunity is for you. In the next few minutes, you'll learn about the Stacktrek Full Stack Bootcamp that trains you to become a job ready programmer in just 4 months. So, as you can see here, you have two options. The first one is the co living bootcamp. This is the first of its kind here in the Philippines as it combines both learning and lifestyle into one exciting and rewarding experience. It means you will be living in one building with other boot campers and you will be able to leverage all of the amenities and the social experience of learning with other boot campers. And then the other option is digital. It is virtual. That means you can take this boot camp anywhere. By anywhere, it means if you are in the province, then you can take this boot camp at the comforts of your home. Or if you enjoy traveling, then you can also take the boot camp while you are traveling. Now, for you to be able to understand and get a picture of what exactly are we going to do when we enter the boot camp. So, let's assume that you already applied and earned a slot in the boot camp. Here in the next few minutes, you can also imagine and also experience virtually what it is like, what you will be doing, and what will be the experience like learning with Stacktrek. So the first thing that you do in your day is have the daily discussions with your trainers and peers. So since you will be building real world applications, always remember that in this boot camp, we focus on your practical skills, the skills that you can really use and immediately practice. And in your daily discussions with your trainer, you will be covering various topics. And the topics that you will be covering will depend based on what module you are in during that day or during that week. So remember, you are building real world applications, and the benefit here for you, especially if you have zero experience yet, is that at the end of the boot camp, you will already have a bunch of projects that can showcase your skills based on the real world applications that you already built. So the next thing that you do after your daily discussions with your trainers and peers is that you now go on and do and complete your hands-on coding modules. It also covers advanced curriculum. We want to focus on the topics and the skills that is relevant today, not relevant 5 years ago, but relevant today and in the future as well. So, after you go through the module, do the exercises, learn the things that you need to learn, once you hit a bump or you're having a difficulty, the platform or the bootcamp has a one-on-one live trainers capability. And what exactly is this? So in just one click, when you are having a problem with the exercises that you're doing or the project that you are doing, in just one click, you get connected to the next available trainer, and then you will be able to chat with that trainer immediately. So you can share your screen with the trainer, you can code together with your trainer, and you can discuss with the trainer with the challenges that you are having. As you can see, it's quite different because as you code together with your trainer, it feels like it's very interactive And it's very personal because the trainer is focused on you as you try to learn that specific skill or try to resolve that specific challenge. So here we would like to show you what it is like. So here we have an example of a trainer named John, and John is talking with his trainer and trying to consult the problem that he is having. So on the right side, there is that chat, and then at the middle is you can see the code that they are working or coding together. And this is an example of one of the projects from one of our boot campers. So they are building real world applications so that at the end of the boot camp, again, you will have a portfolio ready that showcases your acquired skills. But one of the important things that we also would like to highlight is that in this boot camp, it's not just about the technologies that you learn. At the start of the boot camp, you are going to focus on the module that builds you your core foundation. And having a strong coding foundation allows you to learn different technologies faster. The full stack bootcamp has demo days. So we have demo days each month, and what I will show you is one of the websites built by one of the programmers, and that he was able to build this website in just 1 month in the bootcamp. So as you can see, even if you have zero background, the bootcamp is beginner friendly enough for you to understand and be able to build websites even if you have zero background. In the Stacktrek bootcamp, the platform that you will be using is the most advanced training technology here in the Philippines. And the big difference here, we are more focused and having you do more coding hours. If you do more hands-on, you are able to apply immediately the skills that you just learned. The more you apply the skills, the more you realize the things that you need to improve on. And as you learn and apply these skills, you get better and better at it. There you have two options, the co-living and the digital. Digital is virtual, so you can take this one anywhere. And co-living is that you will be living with other boot campers and learning at the same time. Now, we would like to add more details on what the co-living is like. So the co-living boot camp, you don't have to worry about anything else but to learn and experience life. You don't have to worry about spending for food anymore. It is already covered. Also, the accommodation is also included. The good thing about it is that beyond just learning, of course, we need to live our lives. There is a rooftop wherein if you need a breather, you can just be there, get some air. There are lounges that you can chill around. So in the co-living boot camp, it's really different than just a typical boot camp. You learn because that's the main thing that you want to do in the boot camp. But also there are in-person sessions wherein you get inspired from people from the industry. In the co-living boot camp, there are barbecue nights, movie nights, and weekend parties that you can be part of and socialize. You can also leverage on the amenities and gym program. This is what it looks like to be part of the co-living bootcamp. It's very different. You learn, but at the same time, you have fun. So the co-living bootcamp is situated mainly around BGC and Makati. So you can imagine that if you want to also go out, it's BGC is just 5 minutes walking distance. And the benefits of being part of the bootcamp is that we have job partners wherein we negotiated with them that if you are a graduate of the bootcamp, you will have at least 25 to 30K starting salary. And this is quite high considering that you have zero experience and you are still starting out. So one of the key benefits here at Stacktrek Full Stack Bootcamp is that more than just a learning, we help you accelerate your career. So don't worry about having zero experience. Don't worry about being a non-coder and you want to enter the industry. Because if you finish and be a graduate of the bootcamp, you already have guaranteed job interviews. And if you graduate at the top 30, then you have guaranteed job offers already. There's no stopping you in getting the IT industry. As long as you are with the Stacktrek Full Stack Bootcamp, then the opportunities for you is beyond just learning. It goes over to you landing your first job and landing a highly paying job as well. So here, why IT? These are just the published rates of IT today. If you have 1 to 4 years, you will be earning on average 45K monthly. If with 5 years, you will be earning around 80K. As you level up, let's say to senior manager, you can even go to 172,000 for your monthly salary. Once you are able to enter the IT industry, the first step is the hardest, but once you are already in, over opportunities are left and right. So you really have high earning potential once you are able to enter the IT industry. And with that one, if you are interested, you can apply now. The link is here below. It's bit.ly/StackTrek Bootcamp application. And if you have questions, then feel free to find us on Facebook. You can message us there. And we hope that the Stacktrek Full Stack Bootcamp is one of the opportunities that you will leverage on as you enter the IT industry and land your first tech job. And with that one, thank you so much, everyone, and have a good day.
So there you have it. Thank you so much, Haifa, for that very informative presentation on our full stack bootcamp. So there. So for those who are with us this morning, if you're interested to start your journey into tech, so this bootcamp might be something for you. All right. So we have some few questions here. Free bootcamp. No, I think I can answer na collectively the questions and how much. So this is a study now, pay later bootcamp there. And with that one again, as we will be having our info session this coming September 29, Thursday, 11 a.m. So if you want to know more, and during this info session, we will also be having a Q&A portion. So if you're interested, join us on September 29 at 11 a.m. So register via Stacktrek Bootcamp SEP 29. So there you have it. And be a job-ready programmer in 4 months. So if you still want to feel that nakakagigil, problematic, but very fulfilling feeling, no? Join us in our full stack bootcamp. So if you have more questions about the bootcamp, feel free to send us a message at our Facebook page. That's fb.com/stacktrek. So make sure to like, follow, and if you have question, send us a message. Link on the comment. Okay, sure. So we'll drop the link on our comment section in a while. And since you already started coding your first program, we would also like to invite you to Stack League. Stack League is the Philippines' largest online programming league with opportunities such as nationwide recognition, tech trainings, thousands of giveaways, and tech job opportunities. So this is a free online programming competition. So create your account at stackleague.com. So in that platform, you would be able to practice your programming skills for free. Apart from messaging us on our Facebook page, you could also email us at info@stacktrek.com. And this is not the only Code Your Future event and workshop that we will be having. We still have a lot of upcoming CYF events. Make sure to get the latest updates at fb.com/stacktrek/events. And there you have it. That concludes our 40-minute coding workshop for non-coders. Once again, congratulations for those who completed their first program in 40 minutes. For those who were not able to complete, I think you still have time to complete by accessing the complete the full code that we have sent earlier, and make sure to submit your screenshot, the screenshot of your completed code on the certificate request form. Once again, congratulations and thank you so much for joining our workshop. And by the way, I would like to also invite you this afternoon. We will be having our HTML workshop. So there, in that workshop naman, we will be building our first website in 2 hours. So if you still have that rush in you right now, you might want to join us this afternoon. So for details, you could check out our Facebook page. So that's this afternoon at 1:30 p.m. So there you have it. Once again, thank you so much and congratulations to everyone. And we hope to see you in our upcoming CYF events. This has been Isai, your host. Have a good day, everyone. See you later. Bye bye.